The biggest tragedy when buying a house in Australia isn't that you can't afford it, but that you buy the wrong one. Many people work hard to save up for a down payment, thinking they've bought a property with great potential, only to move in and realize it's a nightmare. They can't sell it, can't rent it out, and the holding costs eat up their cash flow. Over the years as a buyer's agent, I've seen far too many heartbreaking cases of beginners falling into these traps. Some people, in order to save a few $100s on inspection fees, end up spending $50,000 on foundation repairs. Others fall for agents' sales pitches and buy rental guaranteed properties, only to see the property value drop by 20%. I'm Joey, a Melbourne buyer's agent. I help clients use data-driven insights to find the market's best properties. Today, I'm skipping feng shui to use investment and liquidity logic to break down 7 toxic Australian property types you must avoid. Whether you're buying to live in or as an investment, after watching this video, you'll at least be able to avoid property traps that could cost you hundreds of thousands of Australian dollars. Even if you're a seasoned pro, the analysis of the last 2 hidden traps will definitely change your perspective. All right, let's get started. First is functional obsolescence, which is crucial for owner-occupiers. Simply put, these bizarre homes have inhumane designs. Many online browsers only see photos, admiring the new renovations, or assuming the floor plan is spacious. Remember, photos are deceiving. A large area isn't always practical. For example, I saw a 2-story villa where they prioritized luxury over function. To save space downstairs, the only bedroom for the elderly had just a toilet and no shower. This means if your elderly parents live with you, they'd have to go all the way upstairs just to take a shower. Also, any guests on the first floor would need to walk through your master bedroom to use the bathroom. This layout is quite uncomfortable and makes the house very difficult to sell to local families. Furthermore, the master bath lacks windows and a door, so all that shower moisture drifts straight into your walk-in closet. That's why when you're viewing a house, you should close your eyes and do a mental walkthrough. Imagine your daily routine from getting up, brushing your teeth, cooking, to doing laundry, and see how the flow works in your mind. If the flow is awkward or there are hidden issues, avoid buying it because layout changes are very costly. We've renovated a lot of houses, almost 100 of them. If you try to do this without expert help, it will often eat up all your potential for value appreciation. The second point is an environment that inherently carries negative energy. What does that mean? The second type is the unavoidable negative energy in the surrounding environment. I'm not talking about anything supernatural, but real issues. For example, high voltage power lines or a train station right in front of the house, or being directly on a main road. Today, I want to especially emphasize 2 things that are easily overlooked. The first is being at a T-junction, also known as road rush. It's not just Chinese people who care about feng shui. Even local Australians and even Indians don't like it. Why is that? First, it's a safety hazard, especially at intersections with heavy traffic. There are news stories almost every year about cars losing control at night and crashing into front yards. And when car headlights sweep across at night, shining straight into your bedroom, how can you sleep? Poor sleep quality makes this house a less desirable option. Another hidden danger is having certain types of neighbors, such as nursing homes, large medical centers, or Department of Housing properties, that is, clusters of public housing. One time, a friend of mine was buying a house. He checked the empty lot on Google Maps, but after settlement, he discovered that a nursing home had been built right behind his fence. While it wasn't noisy, there were ambulances coming and going all the time, and, well, after all, it is a nursing home. This can significantly shrink your pool of potential buyers on a psychological level, people who might want to buy your house in the future. So don't just trust Google Maps, it has a delay. You must use professional mapping software like Land Checker, or go to the council in person, or call to ask what exactly is being built on the empty lot next to your house. Thirdly, houses with structural or foundation issues. These are the real money pits. In many areas of Melbourne, the soil is mostly clay, or like in the Dandenong Ranges, it's sloped land. Foundation movement is very common. Many buyers, just to save $500 or $600 on a building inspection, or because auctions move too quickly, simply skip the inspection altogether. I would call this an act of self-sabotage. Why is that? Across Australia, second-hand houses are usually sold as is in their current condition. If you discover structural issues like wall cracks or sloping floors after buying, you'll likely need foundation reinforcement. This costs tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Furthermore, you must disclose these major repairs when selling later, which seriously limits the property's appreciation potential. When inspecting a house, you can bring a marble and place it on the floor to see if it rolls. This is just a simple trick, but you should never, ever try to save money by skipping a professional building inspection. If the inspection report shows a major structural defect, unless you're a builder, you should just walk away immediately. At the same time, the next point, which I mentioned last time as one of the biggest misconceptions people have, is thinking that the bigger the land, the more valuable it is. Here, I want to correct a misconception. The saying land appreciates, buildings depreciate is true, but only if the land is actually usable. If you buy an 800 square meter plot but it turns out to be an irregular shape with extremely low usability, or if there's a huge easement, meaning a drainage or sewage line, in the backyard where nothing can be built, or if it's in a flood zone or covered by strict vegetation protection so you can't cut down any trees, then the actual usable value of your land might be less than that of a regular 500 square meter plot next door. I had a friend who bought a large plot of land in Queensland. He thought he could subdivide it and make a profit, but because of flood zone restrictions, the council wouldn't approve the DA, which is the development application. Now, he can only spend money maintaining the grass on that land, and he still has to pay high land tax. So before you buy a property, you must look at the Section 32 and even have your conveyancing lawyer review it with you. The key is to check the title plan and the planning overlay. If you don't understand them, ask your conveyancer or buyer's agent to help you check. The fifth point is the biggest pitfall, which is apartments. If your budget is limited and you can only afford an apartment or townhouse, you really need to pay attention to this point. Be wary of properties with problematic strata management. In the past few years, both Sydney and Melbourne have had incidents of apartment cracks like the Opal Tower incident, as well as issues with flammable external cladding. Some apartments may look glamorous on the surface with lobbies that resemble five-star hotels, but if you check their strata report, you might find that their maintenance fund is already depleted, or the owner's corporation is in the middle of a lawsuit with the builder. Once you buy in as an owner, you'll immediately receive a special levy bill for tens of thousands of dollars that must be paid in cash and can't be financed with a loan. So, as someone with a financial background, I suggest you treat the strata report like a company's financial statement. I don't recommend anyone buy an apartment, but if you really must, make sure you choose one with a large maintenance fund and low strata management fees. Also, you should check the meeting minutes. If issues like water leaks or external walls are mentioned frequently, don't even consider it, because that's not an asset. The sixth point is particularly deceptive, and we call it cosmetic renovation. Right now, there are a group of professional property flippers on the market, including myself and my clients. We buy rundown properties at low prices, spend 2 to 3 weeks painting the walls white, laying cheap laminate flooring and swapping in a few trendy light fixtures, then sell them to buyers at a high price as if they were fully renovated. The biggest problem with these kinds of properties is that they look good on the outside but are a mess on the inside. Serious issues like mold, water stains, or even termite damage may be hidden beneath that fresh coat of paint. And because they're looking to cash out quickly, the materials used are often the cheapest and the workmanship is the shoddiest. After just 6 months of living there, the paint starts to peel and the faucets begin to leak. The most crucial point is that the high premium you pay is actually going into the speculator's profit, not the true value of the house. So when you're viewing a property, if you notice a very strong, pungent smell or see obviously cheap materials, you need to be cautious. Check whether the electrical panel is old and take a look at the roof tiles to see if they're old as well. If all these core components haven't been replaced and only the surface has been redone, that's a classic example of a makeup house. The last type, targeting novice investors, is the rental guarantee agreement. Ever heard of deals like 2 years of guaranteed rent, a 5 or 6% return, and 0 vacancy? Sounds perfect, right? Wake up, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Why is that? If the rent for this property is $500 a week, why would the developer promise you $600 a week? Because the extra money has already been added to the price of your house. You paid $50,000 more for the property, and they're just slowly giving your own money back to you over 2 years, making it seem like the return rate is very high. Moreover, these rental guarantee agreements often come with many exemption clauses, and in many cases, the companies signing these guarantees are just shell companies. If they go bankrupt, who are you going to turn to? And as for truly good properties in the current Australian market, as long as they're in a capital city, in the right location, and without any hidden issues, there's absolutely no need to worry about finding tenants. You don't need these rental guarantees to help sell them. Property investment is a long-distance race. You're putting in hundreds of thousands or even millions, and any wrong decision could set you back by years. The 7 points I shared today aren't meant to scare you, but to encourage you to approach your decisions with more rationality and respect. When buying a property, you shouldn't just focus on what you can see, but also pay attention to what you can't see. If you're looking at properties in Melbourne, whether for your own use or as an investment, and you're unsure if there are any hidden pitfalls with a particular property, or if you want to build an investment portfolio that suits you, feel free to leave a comment or contact me directly through my profile. I'm Joey, and I help you see through the Australian real estate market from a buyer's perspective. I hope today's video was helpful to you. See you in the next video. Bye.